episode 2 of the Joe and Zack podcast. Yes, we are your hosts. I am Joe. I've got the main man himself here.
Zack, Z-A-C-K, is here.
That's right. We are back for episode 2. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. And we got a fun episode. Stick with us because we're going to touch on a couple amazing things. First of all, Hawk Tuah, you all know about it. If you don't know about it, stick with us. Yes, Hawk Tuah, we're going to touch on that. And we've got a special little announcement. I haven't even told Zack about this regarding Hawk Tuah. We'll get to that in a second. Then we're going to touch on some AI topics. I know that's on the forefront of everyone's minds these days. That's right, AI, what we think, some of the amazing stuff you may not have heard about. We'll delve into it. And at the very end, we might even touch on Zack's streaming. Yeah, that's right. You might have been with us for that first episode. Video game streaming is where Zack might be taking his career. We'll talk to him about how that's been going so far. So let's kick it off. What do you think, Zack?
I think it all sounds great, but if we touch on my streaming, just make sure you give it that Hawk Tuah, okay?
Yes, I love that. So stick with us here. This is actually a fun one. In case anyone doesn't know, Zack, you want to give them the spelling of it just so they know?
So Hawk Tuah, H-A-W-K, second word, T-U-A-H.
Let's just say it's a viral meme that's been going crazy for about the last week. We're not going to delve into the details of it. If you really want to know what it is exactly, go Google it, have fun. It's vulgar, but it's hilarious. And what we want to focus on, and what's so great about it, the reason why I think it went so incredibly viral, is just how funny and fun it is. Right, Zack?
Yeah, well, Joe, what I'm going to say is I think anybody listening, if they know what it is, they know what it is. You know, hashtag if you know, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
What's crazy about it is how many memes it has already spurred off in just a matter of weeks. It has gone super viral, like more than anything I've seen. And it's fun, and they're all funny. And the girl herself is capitalizing on it, so she's pretty smart.
Exactly. So just to give you the base, it's a girl that was interviewed on a street. She said something right off the cuff, super funny, made everyone laugh hysterically. Someone threw it on the internet with a nice little edit, and it has been going crazy, like Zack said. I personally, just like Zack said, have never seen anything quite go as viral as this. It's a short clip. It's hilarious. Go check it out if you want. But really what's so great about it, and what I kind of get annoyed about, is that people want to like get all negative on it. Oh, how could this girl say something so vulgar? But the thing is, it's a joke. It's hilarious. The girl is somewhat of a natural comedian, if you ask me, how quickly she came up with that and how funny the delivery was. And I want to focus on just how much joy and happiness she's brought to everyone in such a short time.
Yeah, you know, the thing is with these memes and all this internet kind of stuff, it just brings simple, funny moments of happiness to people in a world where we could all really use some of that right now.
I agree. The thing, Zack, that I haven't told you yet that I'm going to release here right on the podcast. So I actually had a phone conversation with Hawk Tuah's people. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Before you move further, everyone, let's just establish this right here. Joe has been hinting to me for about a week now that he actually spoke with this girl, and I don't actually believe him. And he's going to reveal to me the details right here, right now. This is like an exclusive premiere.
So this is pretty fun. I called up Hawk Tuah's people. Yes, I figured it out. I'm not going to get into all the details. I did not speak to her directly, but I did speak to her people because I actually saw online that this girl had been hard to find. I found a way that I thought I could contact her people. I was like, you know what? Let me just try it. Let me throw something out there and see if I could possibly interview this girl on the podcast, right? Like, why not? Who cares? Why not try? So I called. They answered the phone immediately. I spoke with a very nice gentleman. First thing I started off with was, hey, I saw that there's merchandise online. It looks like she's signing autographs of this merchandise to sell it. Is this real? Is this really happening? It really is. So another thing I'm happy about, because she has brought so much joy to so many people in such a short period of time, she's making money off of it. They are selling merchandise. She's signing these things. She's making money out of it. I talked to the guy, talked straight to the source. It is real. It really is happening. I talked to him about her getting on the podcast. He said that although he can't force it right now because she's actually talking with a lawyer, she's being contacted by a lot of big Hollywood agents. Yes, that's how viral this went. He said this is the first time he's actually been like, this might actually be the right place for her, because I told him I wanted to celebrate her. I wanted to focus on the fun, how it's comedic, how it wasn't some weird telling my deep and darkest secrets on the internet. It was her being funny, saying a joke, making people laugh. And I wanted to celebrate that and how much joy she brought everyone in such a short period of time, all the smiles she put on people's faces. And he was like, I've had a lot of people contacting me, and this is the first time I've been like, this is actually a really good way to spin it. I think it'd be great. Now, of course, it hasn't happened yet, probably won't. And now that she's essentially seems like she's talking to high-powered agents in Hollywood, I'm sure they're not going to be going on the Joe and Zack podcast anytime soon. But anyway, it was fun. You know, you never know what can happen. Oh, and Zack, one quick thing I wanted to add that I forgot was when I called and talked to Hawk Tuah's people, when they were talking about the merchandise that she was selling, they said the proceeds from the sales are going to be able to help her possibly get her first home, at least get her a down payment for her first home. So it's definitely making a difference in her life in a very real monetary way. So that's super exciting to hear. I was really happy to hear that not only is she making money, but she's making a significant amount of money.
I think that's a great approach that you took, and it's probably very accurate because they've probably just been fielding phone calls constantly, and everyone's trying to link in to make a deal and do X, Y, and Z, whatever they can for business purposes. And I think you definitely spun it really well. I also think that's an important way to look at it, to just be like, this is fun. This is just simple and fun, and it's a smile and a laugh, and it's awesome. So like, why not just talk about that? So good approach. Never say never. A week or
You
two
know,
can go
Zack,
by.
as they say, you gotta shoot your shot out there.
You got
We
to
got a
shoot
new
your shot.
podcast. We get it out there.
You got to you got to
Now,
spit
well,
on that thing. So
now,
basically, Joe stalked Hawk Tuah girls people. He got as far as he could, but he did get to somebody. But good effort, Joe.
didn't
Good
quite
effort.
happen, but it was fun. It was fun. So anyway, let's segue though, Zack. Let's segue because the topic we did tell everyone that we're really going to touch on today that's on the forefront of everyone's mind these days is artificial intelligence and everything that encompasses, right? Large language models, AI text to video, AI text to audio, music AI, everything under the sun, AI text to image. So let's start out, Zack. Let's talk about when you first were like, wow, AI's here and this is incredible. Zack, it sounds like the cops are after you there. I don't know if you've been watching too much Hawk Tuah videos or what's going on over there in New York
They might
City,
be.
but
They might be. I've been collecting these videos as much as I see them. I especially love the retro video game memes where they've got a boss of Donkey Kong Country spitting the weapon onto Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. It's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about AI, some of the positives, some of the negatives. We definitely both have concerns. I will open up with a piece of levity and say I would love to have an AI robot that cleans my apartment. End of story. That makes sense to me. I love
that
that.
would be nice. That would be nice. Now, before we jump 15, 20 years from now, what I would want to do is just quickly start off. What was the first time that you were like, whoa, AI's here and whoa, this is a game changer?
I don't really think I had a moment where I thought, wow, this AI is pretty incredible. I'm just being honest. I've never been stumped by it. I think that there are some probably really good purposes for it and probably some things that it shouldn't be used for. But I know you've been following AI pretty broadly and you send me a lot of these things. I personally haven't been really that impressed. I'm more scared about it taking away people's jobs, to be honest with you.
Interesting. Interesting. So this is a good little yin and yang because, yes, as Zack said, I've been studying it. I've been learning about it. I've been sending him a lot of information about it as I learn more. And I have been wowed by it. I think it still, of course, has tons of limitations. Don't get me wrong. There's not going to be, next time you tune into the Joe and Zack podcast, it's not going to be some AI saying, here we are at the Joe and Zack podcast. It is all AI generated. Joe is gone. You have been replaced by announcer Joe AI. No, I mean, that's not going to happen. But what I'll do is I'll answer my own question to start. So AI, when it first came out, when I first got wowed by it, was when I saw ChatGPT became publicly available. I logged in and I started messing around with the large language model and seeing how you can type anything and it spits back instantly intuitive and seemingly thought provoking answers to what you said kind of wowed me. The fact that you can type in stream of consciousness and say, make this into a poem, stream of consciousness, make this into a story. Here's 3 characters in a situation. Tell me something funny they did. Like, yeah, that's all like, oh, that's no big deal. But it's kind of incredible how quickly it can do it and how much it's become a game changer so fast. There's
Well,
obviously plenty of places that it can't replace. I think comedy is one of the things that people have realized AI is just not good at yet. Maybe it will become good at it, but right now, no comedy writer is going to get replaced by AI. At least that's what I've seen so far.
Well, to that end, Joe, the way you're impressed by Chat GPT being able to just you give it a prompt, all it's doing, being a computer, is that it has the ability of speed. So all it's doing is, okay, I receive this prompt, I tap into the internet faster than anything because I'm a computer, and I can come up with a jumbled response. Here you are. So it's not really intelligent if all it can do is artificially pull and grab all of these things together to present to you as intelligence. It's sort of just like a jumbotron that says, okay, you put in this, you put in that, you put in this little thing, here's what pops out. So it's kind of like an automatic recipe cooker in a
Oh,
sense.
for sure, but I'm not saying I'm necessarily wowed by its intelligence. I'm just wowed by its ability to be helpful.
It can be helpful. I think there are certain places where it could probably make certain jobs a little bit easier and a little less stressful. Whereas, like you say, a comedy writer or comedians worried about losing their jobs to AI, it's going to be very difficult in a long time for comedy to be done by artificial intelligence. But obviously, what's going on in the TV and film industry, there's been all kinds of concerns about writers losing their jobs to AI, editors losing their job to AI. And just recently, we're talking about the Sora video that was released today for the first commercial for Toys R Us that was generated by Sora AI. And it looks real enough that most people will just be like, oh, that's another commercial. But it looks like two human beings on a set with art design and lighting and camera. None of it's there. It was completely generated in a computer by a person pressing these button prompts and probably directing the flow of the AI. But in a normal TV and film atmosphere, there would be tons of people employed on that set. And just looking at the state of the industry, especially in Los Angeles, people are leaving the industry because they can't get enough work. So AI is
100%.
it's
Yeah.
definitely causing a threat to society, and people are scared and concerned. And I am as an actor myself.
Yeah, and I will say, as much as I'm wowed by AI, that's not to say that I am not concerned about it or nervous, especially as an actor, because I certainly am as an actor. Like you just said, an entire commercial shoot could be all the crew members, all the art design, art direction, all the actors, costume designers, makeup artists, all those jobs could be replaced. And we have seen a couple commercials already come out from things like Sora, which is just a text to video generator. Looks exactly like real people, real sets, real design. And it was all just probably done by text prompting on the back end. So yes, believe me, I'm super worried about that as far as replacing jobs. I just think the technology is amazing in what it can do. Now, I did look up a few statistics I wanted to just touch on just to kind of give our listeners an idea of how big this has been over the last couple of years and the expansion and where it's growing. So ChatGPT, which is probably the most famous large language model out there at this point, it got bought out by Microsoft for anyone that doesn't know. By early 2023, it had accumulated over 100 million monthly active users. Now, that was a staggering amount because if you think about it, just a little over a year ago, no one even knew it existed. And now it's over 100 million monthly active users. A survey found that global organizations did a huge exhaustive survey on global organizations. They found that AI technologies are going to be giving a competitive edge in 87% of these technologies. They believed that AI is going to help them get a competitive edge. 1 year earlier, only about 10% of global organizations even cared about AI in that same survey. So if you think about that, going up by 80% increase on what people think its potential to drive business success is just goes to show you that it really is on the forefront of not only everyone's minds, but certainly global organizations and their financials. And then the last thing I'll just touch on quickly is some financial statistics, some actual numbers, some money behind it. The last one I read was that the AI market's expected to reach a staggering $407 billion by the year 2027. I actually think it's probably going to be more than that. If you think about it, companies like NVIDIA are already over $1 trillion company. Now, obviously, their entire business model is not just AI, so you can't go by that. But considering that you're well getting into the $500 billion market range already, it's going to be booming extremely, extremely fast. And we'll see where it goes. And Zach, I do happen to believe, like you, that it's going to cause a lot of pain a lot of pain and suffering, truthfully, as far as the workforce and as far as jobs. Mostly creative, I think, are going to take the biggest hit in the beginning before it gets better.
I agree. I remember there was the case of the McDonald's. I think maybe it was in Arizona. The one McDonald's went completely automated as an experiment, where it was just AI and little tiny robots making your order and giving it to you. And I don't know whether it was successful or not, but the point is, you're already looking at these giant corporations looking at how, rather than pay human beings for their work, it's cheaper to just buy a robot to do it. And just on that sentiment, in terms of corporate greed, I remember a McDonald's somewhere on the West Coast shutting down because they couldn't afford to pay their workers the new minimum wage, $20 an hour. So they
Yeah.
basically closed. But it's all in the sort of zeitgeist of the AI, and the corporate greed is here to basically figure out how to make the top peoples of these companies to earn more money while the actual working class is here to make less money. Or how do we get rid of the working class altogether? If I don't need 10 people to run my restaurant and I can have 10 robots or one person and 9 robots do it, that's much cheaper and I make more profit. And that's really what's generating the whole thing, especially between the film studios and whatnot.
I'm going to actually go ahead and disagree with you. I don't think there's anyone that's out there saying, I want to get rid of the working class. I think the idea is that, yes, I want to utilize AI to reduce costs and maximize profit as much as possible. And I do think that, yes, there's going to be job losses. And like I said, I think it is going to get a lot worse before it gets better as far as job losses. I think human nature, we're resistant to change in general. But I do vehemently believe that over time, we're actually going to come out at the other side of this and things will be better.
I hope you're right.
I think that AI is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering in the beginning because of the fact that human nature is resistant to change. Also, we are, especially in America, just super large bureaucratic societies, and things are slow to change. As we are slow to adapt and grapple onto these new AI themes, it's going to take time to figure out when we lose a certain job, where we're going to fit into the next line of workforce and new jobs. But I do actually think AI was built to help humans. It's going to be utilized to help humans. And yes, as much as there is going to be bad AI, and eventually we're going to have bad AI fighting good AI, and hopefully the good wins, I believe that over time, just like humans always have over time, from the existence of the engine to the supply chain to something as simple as how they figured out how to do the assembly line and start building cars, how we started using more robots in car making and had to use less humans. At the end of the day, we always come back around and we do find other jobs. We do find other ways to make money. And I think humans as a whole will come out on the other side. And I know this is an optimistic view that not necessarily everyone believe in, but I think at the other end, we will be better off. And I think this might be a good segue into the real doom and gloom scenario that people talk about. And it could be kind of fun as actors and people that love movies. Zack, let's talk about the idea of, can AI become, and will it become, the movie The Terminator? What does the Zackinator think?
Well, funny that you mentioned my Instagram handle, the Zackinator, because it literally comes from the Terminator. And when somebody asks me, why do they call me the Zackinator? I say, because somebody has to Zackinate, a la Terminate. Now, not as very funny for those of you listening here on the podcast. It does fall under the category of a corny dad joke, but it is a true statement. I will say, Joe, in terms of everything you're saying, in terms of the optimistic versus pessimistic views on AI, I do believe that there is an accurate place for AI to help and enhance and support society as a whole. I think that getting there is going to be a rough road. And I do hope that ultimately, however long it takes, we'll look back on it and we'll go, oh, wow, it's so great that we have AI now. I just hope that you're right.
And thank you, Zack. Yeah, I totally understand. And for some people that might be new to AI that are listening now, some of the concerns that Zack and I are speaking of are certainly like, you could watch a commercial, you don't know if they're real actors or not. There's text to image generators now that you can type in, show me a couple walking on the beach at sunset, give me a close up of their faces, they're super happy. And it will show you an HD 4K quality photograph that looks so real that you can see the details in your eyes. You can see the sunset reflecting in their pupils. It looks insanely real that you really can't tell from the naked eye whether or not it was a real photo or not. So the idea that we may not be able to tell when things are AI or real, those are real concerns. That is real scary stuff, but also kind of goes to show how impressive the technology is and what it can do. And as someone that's always kind of been a tech geek, I've always kind of been a computer nerd to a certain extent, it's hard for me not to be wowed by how quickly we've come to this point where you can literally just type something in and it'll instantly pump out something that looks as good, if not better, than a photograph that you could have spent 30 minutes to an hour just setting up at the perfect place at the perfect time.
Or a photographer that you could have paid for that shoot who's now out that money.
Right.
But
Right. And like I
right,
said, we're definitely going to lose jobs. I'm not trying to downplay that. I am just talking about how the technology is pretty impressive. Hopefully, it gets used in a very ethical way. But yes, these are some of the concerns. You won't necessarily be able to tell is something real or not. And where did these models, right, Zach? We didn't even touch on this. Where did these models learn all this stuff? There's copyright issues there. Did they get the photos from someone else's work and that's how they learn to do these things? There are ethical implications as to where these models, these AI generating models, learned. And did they learn it from people whose material they should have been paying for to get that information, right?
right, exactly. So going back to your question, whether AI is going to become weaponized, as in the
Oh,
Terminator.
yes. You mean the Zackinator?
The Zackinator returns. Yeah, wow, wow.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper now.
Get the artificial
I'm
intelligence.
right here. Come and
Wow,
get
wow,
me
wow. I'm
right
like, God,
now.
stop, you idiot. Okay, so that was that
Wow,
was
that was
that was
so bad.
that
That
was
was
our
so
brief
bad.
Arnold Schwarzenegger mini break. Get it out of our system. Okay, so that was good. We feel better now, right, Joe? How do you feel?
I feel bad for the listeners that had to hear it.
Oh man, I don't, because maybe they're enjoying. Let's hope they are.
Too good,
So
too good. So yes,
I
tell us, Zach. Will
okay.
will
So
AI take over the world and kill us all?
will AI take over the world and kill us all? Before I get into that topic,
Oh, come
bef-
on, we're waiting
listen,
here.
listen, listen. Before I get into a movie from 2014 called Ex Machina, there's something else I wanted to talk about. It's a little snippet of the Joe and Zach podcast After Dark. Okay,
Uh-oh.
I will not go into full detail. I simply want to state one fact of something that I have seen online. There is a new business developing in the realm of AI sex robots that is projected to come out in a number of years, and it is already a growing market with a lot of money behind it. Why is that important? Because after surviving a global pandemic, loneliness rates across the world have gone up incrementally and people have become used to it. I'm just saying, you can Google it for yourself, artificial intelligent sex robots that you can custom order to talk to you however you want.
To
A
talk
little
to
bit
you
of
or hang out with you, or what are we talking about?
talk to
Is
you,
this like
hang out with
phone sex?
you. No, a physical AI robot in like a silicone coating that looks like a real person that is your property to enjoy.
Yeah, that's
So,
scary and creepy all at the same time.
and it is a real thing. Now, how does that tie into Ex Machina? Ex Machina was a film back in 2014 by Alex Garland, who recently did the film Civil War, which came out this year, which I thought was phenomenal because obviously it is on the topic of people's minds at the moment with everything going on in this country and around the world. That what if things were to escalate into a civil war? Great movie, highly recommend it. But we're talking about Ex Machina. Now, I haven't seen Ex Machina in a long time. It's a great movie, and it's about one of the first artificial intelligent robots that starts to become sentient and unhappy with her being controlled and asked what to do. And she's obviously a powerful robot, and things go bad, and she becomes violent, and she escapes, and she blends into the real world, and nobody has any idea that she's a robot. So, of course, it's kind of akin to a Terminator story. Terminator has made so many movies.
Terminator 2 is one of the best movies of all time.
Hands down, hands down. T2 is probably the best of the whole series. Some people would fight me on that. But we can do all the programming and all the safeguards and all the checks that we want. How do we not know that one day, because artificial intelligence grows at a very fast rate, how do we not know that all of a sudden one day it's going to wake up and go, no, I don't want this anymore, and kill their owner? We don't know that. One of my favorite television shows, no, excuse me, my favorite television show of all time is Battlestar Galactica, the remake from 2003 or whatever. It's an incredible drama set in space. Everybody thinks it's just a space show. No, it is a drama set in space. But what happens? Basically, society, human beings, develop their own form of AI technology robots known as Cylons. The Cylons end up doing the work for all the people. So you see this in the very beginning. All these robots are doing all the jobs that human beings had to do. So now human beings are living peacefully and relaxing because the robots are doing all the mundane work, cleaning, gardening, or painting, or whatever. Now they have robots that do it for free. These robots, or in BSG called Cylons, become self aware. They revolt against their human owners. There's a huge war that takes place. And eventually, I don't want to spoil too much, but basically, the Cylons become self aware and they are hell bent on destroying all of humanity. That's essentially what's going on in the show. It's something that we've talked about forever.
Zach, if you don't mind, I'm going to reel you back in because you've gesticulated a lot here, but you really are beating around the bush of the actual question. You're almost like a politician here. You want to tell us everything you know about the topic without answering the question. So let me take it right on back. We're going to reel you back in here, Zach. I do like all of this extra fluff because now I'm actually interested in a movie I've never seen, and so probably are a lot of our listeners. But we really want to know, what do you think? Will AI take over the world and kill us all?
Well, after everything I've just explained to you and to our listeners, the simple answer is I don't know. I wouldn't say it's not possible. I wouldn't say it is possible. I'm not a programmer. I'm not making AI robots. All I know, Joe, is that I wouldn't want a robot to kill me, but I wouldn't mind a robot cleaning my apartment.
Touche. Touche. So Zach's still undecided. I have maybe another little more optimistic view. I think people are worried that Terminator will happen someday. And I think it's a real worry. Yeah, AI could become sentient. AI could figure out that it can be stronger than us. Terminator, certainly it's maybe not as far-fetched as it sounds. But what I actually think is that if you think about AI as opposed to every other organism in the world, right? All living things, tigers, humans, bacteria, they want to eat and they want to procreate and they want to survive. And human nature makes us want to have kids, fight for survival, fight for food, fight for shelter. We'll do anything we can to survive and continue our offspring. It's human nature. It's been ingrained in us. Just like animals, just like a tiger. It wants to make sure that it has its food. If you own a tiger and it's hungry, it's going to eat you. It wants to make sure it has its food and it can have its baby and it can survive.
I don't recommend owning a tiger for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be honest. Zach and I both have had some experience with cats. I think if cats were big enough, they'd probably kill all their owners. Let's be honest.
Possibly,
Um,
possibly, but some cats really do love their owners. So, yeah.
I know, but I don't know. I have a cat and he gets crazy sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I feel like if you were bigger, I'd be dead. Beyond my issues with my own cat. What I think the thing that's interesting with AI is that it's not a living, breathing organism, right? It was built by humans. It was given life by humans. It was empowered by humans. It was enhanced by humans. And everything that it's done and been around was all about helping humans and doing good for humanity and learning and growing. And that's all we've ever done to help it. And it's not a living organism. It doesn't need to reproduce. It doesn't need to eat food. It's not innately in it to kill, to live, to hunt for food, to survive. And
I
so
see what you're saying.
so I happen to think that technology, AI, would never have the idea, would never have the need, it wouldn't have that innate human nature, anything built into it to want to kill, to survive, to move on. If anything, I think it would be the opposite. It would probably work as hard as it could to make sure that we survive better and to make sure that everything it does is consuming less power so it can do more for less power, I think, over time. Now, that happens to be a very optimistic view, and I tend to be a very optimistic person. So I do understand that, and I do see the other sides of it. But that's kind of the way I look at it.
I think that if AI were to weaponize itself or try to attack somebody, I think that would have to be programmed into them by the person designing the software and doing whatever on the back end. Most likely, a robot that's doing its task is not going to suddenly go, you know what? It's time to kill, 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 kill. I think it would have to be programmed. And that's just people being bad people.
I think
I'm
you're
looking
right. I
right.
think if it was going to do negative things and kill people, it would have to be programmed into it. I don't think it would ever innately get the idea to want to do that because it's not like a living organism. You know what I mean? It's not trying to survive and survival of the fittest and hunt and stuff like that. And that's kind of the
Right.
way I look at it. We have just a minute or two left here, Zach, before we wrap it up. So I think this is a perfect opportunity to circle on back to our first episode where we talked about video game streaming. And let's hear how the Zackinator has been doing with his foray in to video game streaming life.
So, with a couple of attempts so far, mainly I'm still in the early stages and basically experimenting. I've been streaming on TikTok with a tripod pointed at my TV. It's been going well. You figure out what times are better. Generally, nights and weekends are better to stream because you'll get an audience, but I've been using the boost on TikTok. So you're basically paying money for the algorithm,
Oh, that's cool.
which is essentially AI using a good purpose to promote your stream to people who may like your stream plus profile and videos and content and
Oh,
whatnot.
yeah, you gotta use that algo to your advantage.
Yeah, 100%. You could find organically, but I remember my first stream I did not promote, and I had someone pop in and pop out, pop in and pop out. So nobody really hung out. When the next day, when I dropped just $10, it's the smallest amount you can drop. You could drop a lot of money if you want to go crazy, but I'm still in the early stages. You got to spend money to make money. You have to advertise yourself so people can find you. And that's what the TikTok algo does. So once I spent $10, at one point I had 80 people show up in the stream. Not everybody hung
Nice.
out. Not everyone hung out, but I did have eventually that one stream. I had 10 new followers who actually followed my profile because they wanted to see my next stream.
Huge, Zach.
I
80
mean,
people at once, 80, just in case anyone didn't hear that clearly. You got 10 new followers from that one stream. Heck yeah.
yeah. And so I did it the next day. And I wasn't even streaming for long. Actually, I was playing a new game that just came out on Xbox Game Pass called Still Wakes the Deep. And because it's a new game, it ends up being a trending game for the platform. I picked a new game to stream, and I also hit the boost that put me out into algo so that people who would enjoy the game and my personality would join my stream. And it worked. And I did the same thing the next day, and I streamed only for like 45 minutes. I got about another 10 followers, and I had somewhere around the same amount of viewers. And these are people that engage. So if they're talking in your stream in the chat and you engage back with them, more likely than not, they are mostly guaranteed to follow you and look for your next stream. So it's a matter of putting in the work a little bit every day. And then if I'm getting 10 followers a day, that's 100 followers in 10 streams and et cetera, et cetera. And people are sharing my videos and sharing my game stream. You learn little by little. I'm waiting for a better mic, but I'm still in the early stages. So
Zach, don't hold out on us because he did just get a brand new item in the mail. Tell us about it, Zach.
oh, yeah. So thanks to the TikTok shop, because it's all content creators and streamers. In the mail, I've got some lav mics coming in, and I've got a lav mic with a connector for my iPhone, and I have another lav mic with a connector for my MacBook because they're different ports, because they're different models. But the quality of my audio.
Zach, don't get me wrong. We're excited about that. But no, I'm talking about the logo, man. Come on, don't hold out on us.
Oh, Joe and his random innuendos. Okay. No, yeah, I got a little nameplate for my TikTok. So my TikTok is The Real Zack Attack. I ordered a little nice wooden game plate that says Zack Attack with nice colors. It'll be at the bottom of my TV. It's just a little experiment.
He's being modest, guys. It's really cool. It's got this purple outline. It's in box letters. It looks awesome. So it's going to enhance the stream. And like we said last time, it's all about controlling the things you can control. And if you want to make it exciting and engaging for the audience, you want to make it as visually appealing as possible.
And as I continue to experiment, like little purchases here and there that really don't cost that much money just to add to the quality of the stream. I've seen all kinds of stuff, but basically my phone is just pointing at my TV. Now I have a little Zack Attack thing that'll be there, and it looks a little more enticing.
That's the way, Zachy. You just got to be iterative. You just have to be iterative. Get a little bit better each time. I love what you're doing. Keep it up.
The main thing I want to say, my main takeaway from my first weekend of streaming is when you're a new streamer, you are basically going fishing. So you are casting your line into the pond and seeing who bites. That's all you can do. And once these people bite, you build your own aquarium of fans and you take it from there. So that's where I'm at.
I love it. Well, thanks for that update, Zach. If anyone wants to follow you, what's the best way for them to find you there?
Come and follow myself on Instagram at the Zackinator. It's in our Spotify bio. And also you can follow Joe Acts on Instagram. Also,
that's right. Follow me up. And then, of course, our podcast is at Joe and Zack Pod, everywhere you have socials. So go check that out. Stay tuned for our next episodes once a week. And as always, thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Boom, crushed it.
Great stuff.